a beautiful resonance. How are you all doing? Need back some more? Just a no, it's fine actually. Yeah, we're good. Welcoming you in to Worthy and Well Wednesday. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. This is the time of the week where around lunchtime, around the time that we normally nourish our bodies, we're taking a moment to nourish our souls. I am your host, Joy Soul. I'm fixing his microphone because it's bothering me, but it's all good. I am your host, Joy Soul. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. I want you all to take this moment and be present. I know that there are a lot of distractions, especially in this portal we call social media, in this black mirror we call a phone, right? But I have committed to doing these Worthy and Well Wednesdays for us as a collective, for us to be able to take a moment for ourselves, to get centered, to get grounded, to breathe, to tap into ourselves and what we need, and to really come home to ourselves. We like to say around here, you are worthy, you are well, and you are home. And so I welcome you home to yourself. We're going to start with a little bit of breath work, and then we'll go into our sacred conversation, okay? So go ahead on. I'm going to clear the energy real quick with the chime, so don't be alarmed. That feels good. So go ahead and get to a comfortable space, whether that's on the floor, whether that's in your car, whether that's laying down, whether that's with your eyes closed. I want you to relax your body. I don't want your body to be tensed in any way, so that you can be able to be present and receive, okay? I want you to allow your limbs to be loose, your arms, your legs, let them be loose, let them be sit wherever they may be, okay? And I want us to breathe in 4 seconds. We're gonna hold 4 seconds, and then we're gonna release, okay? So go ahead on as you get to your comfortable space. Take a deep breath in with me. Hold and release. Again, in, hold, and release. We're gonna do that one more time. Deep breath in for me. Hold and release. Give yourself a moment to just fall back into our body. We spend a lot of the time up here, right? And so I want us to be able to just kind of fall and settle back into our bodies, back into our temples, into our homes, okay? We understand that our bodies are just holding places for the abundant spirit that we have, that we possess, that we are. And so coming back home to ourselves is the series we've been talking about. And in that space, it's about having sacred communion and community with yourself and with collective community, right? A lot of times we don't necessarily feel like that. Sometimes people in our households are not necessarily on what we're on, right? Or they haven't grown to that space. And so to be able to connect with community, and be able to really come to a space where you're home with yourself is very important, especially with what's going on in the world. So, last week, our journal prompt was, what is your body telling you that it needs? And what can you begin to do to honor that? And so we're going to speak a little bit about that. I always answer the question. And so y'all see my words here. But for me, my body said it needs rest and grace. I expect a lot of myself because there is a high calling on my life. And so I don't always give myself the grace that I need. And so I made sure that this weekend I gave myself both rest and grace. Okay, as well as stillness, and I really got a chance to kind of organize, which is always good if you're neurospicy like me. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like, and then also in our series of coming home with ourselves, it's also about being in a space, right, where we can remove those layers. Because if I'm coming back home to myself, that means that I disconnected somehow. I got distracted somehow. I got caught up in being a wife or a mother or a friend or a business owner or, all the other things, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about those titles today and how to kind of start to peel back those layers, not remove them because they make us who we are, right? But be able to perceive and kind of pierce through them to get to the core of who we are. This is the reason why we've been doing this work about tapping in with our bodies, tapping in with our spirits, tapping into ourselves and seeing what that really is. And as you start to do your inner work, you start realizing there's a lot of layers that I got to get through. Okay. So we're going to deal with those layers today, and just sort of talk about how we can um, balance better and also reprioritize a little bit better, because those are things that I know a lot of us um, tend to struggle with a little bit. At least I do. And I hear that a lot of other people do too. All right. So we're going to go into a little bit of that. Um, but I would love for you to give us some conversation and or comments about what you're doing to make sure that you're coming home to yourself, even giving us reviews on how these series have helped you. Um, if Worthy and Well Wednesdays is helping you in some way, I would love to hear that. I would love to hear how these sessions are being able to help you, how you are learning, and how you are growing. Those things are always, always important. Make sure that you join community, y'all. These sessions are only available on YouTube for 24 hours. Okay, sometimes I let it go a little bit longer because life be lifing, but these sessions are only available to the public for 24 hours. There will be replays available in the community. There's a lot of things going on in our community. That link is going to be in the description box, but you can always go to joysoulmusic.com and be able to join the community as well, so that you can get access to this. You can get the replays. You can get we're getting ready to start giving community like PDFs and all kinds of stuff that you can use in your everyday life. Okay, so make sure that you join community. To join community is free. To get access to exclusive content, we're starting up our sacred sessions where we will have live chats where you'll be able to see me, I'll be able to see you. We're going to do that on Zoom. Those types of things are with our Star Seed memberships, okay? Those monthly Star Seed memberships. It's only $29.99, and you're going to get all kinds of stuff that is not available anywhere else, okay? If you guys have not noticed, I've pulled back a lot from social media, to really focus on those of us that are aligning and that are preparing for what the aftermath of this shift, because the shift has already happened, is happening, but what happens in this aftermath, right? And so community, make sure that you're joining and tapping in there. But let's go ahead and start off with this week's journal prompt, since we talked a little bit about last week's journal prompt. This week's journal prompt and our sacred conversation is going to be about peeling back those layers. And so this is what I want y'all to think about this week, okay? Spend 3 minutes, 3 to 5. If y'all have a lot to write, I tend to write a lot, okay? Spend 3 to 5 minutes writing out all the titles you hold: mother, daughter, sister, brother, uncle, non binary, whatever, however that shows up for you. Business owner, employee, singer, writer, creator, dancer. I want you to spend 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, just writing all of that out. Okay? And once you no longer have any new titles, I want you to time yourself. Okay? Like put a timer on there and just write as much as you can, everything that you can think of that describes you. I want you to write all that out. Once you no longer have any new titles to add, I want you to write down who you are without those titles. If you didn't have those titles, what does that leave? If those titles were not a part of your identity, what is left? Okay, and I want us to really see this is how we begin to peel back those layers, because a lot of the times our identity is fully wrapped up in who we are to others, who we are, um, that we've been told that we are, who we are, um, and how we function in day to day. You know, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, that is a lot of my identity. That's a lot of how I show up in the world. That has to do with how I flow and move. When I go to places, I'm looking from an entrepreneur mindset. Um, so those are things that make me who I am, and that's beautiful, right? But at the same time, if all those titles didn't mean anything, if all those titles were not there, who am I without that? What does that person look like? How does that person show up in the world? How does that person move? What does that person eat? How does that person function? What does that person listen to? Who does that person talk to? Where does that person go? Right? Like, take a moment to write out all the titles you hold. Once you no longer have any more titles and once your time is up, who are you besides that? Okay? So that's the conversation. That's kind of the space that we're in this week, is just really allowing ourselves to look at all these layers. Now, I will say this, all of those layers and titles are beautiful. They got you here. They have helped you grow. They have helped you develop. They have helped you um, pursue and find your purpose, or at least feel like you need to pursue and find your purpose. So this is not at all a moment to dismiss being a mother or dismiss being, a daughter or a sister. But it's really about peeling back all the things, all the weeds, right? All the things that we see that help us and grow us and identify us. Think about all of that and then look at the basis of who am I. Now, I'm going to say this. Sometimes it's not as pretty a picture as you expected, and that's okay. That's totally okay. Sometimes it's not as definite. When I first did this exercise in 2020, okay, during the pandemic, we had a lot of time to do stuff, right? And I was sitting back, and because of that time, a lot of you know I'm a licensed hairstylist. At the time, I owned a medium-sized salon, and I couldn't do my salon because that was one of the first businesses that they shut down in the pandemic, although salons are some of the most sanitary places, because that's all we do all day. But I couldn't be the entrepreneur and the hairstylist and the counselor to my clients because I could not see them, right? We couldn't physically, be in each other's presence. Um, we had to, quote unquote, be shut down and quarantined. And so some people, like me, were quarantined kind of by myself. I had my own place, and so I wasn't with my grandmother. I wasn't with my family, and so all those titles. Yes, of course, we talked and we checked on each other and made sure everybody was healthy. But it really was a moment where it was like, okay, without all of these things that I am, who am I really? And that sent me into a whole nother space and level of development and spiritual awakening and understanding of myself. And that is when I really truly began to come home to myself. And so that is the inspiration behind this exercise. And I'm going to give you, like I always do, our journal prompts are active, which means that we are going to write together. So go ahead on and get your journal. I don't know if you don't have pen and paper, get your notes on your phone. You can write something on a napkin, wherever you are, just kind of write, okay? Even if you got to send a text message to yourself real quick. I want you to write down those titles, make a list. Make a list. Once you make that list, I want you to really begin to kind of identify and write down what's coming up for you. Even as you start to write the list, write down what's coming up for you. Do this exercise, and then the second part of your journaling is going to be, okay, how are you feeling as you're making that list? Once you saw that list, did you realize, dang, I really am a lot of things to a lot of people? You know what I mean? Um, as you're making that list, do some emotions come up for you? What are those emotions? As you begin to start understanding, okay, who I am without all these other titles, how does that feel for you? Write those things down, okay? I'm going to give you a moment here to journal as I start our sound bath. Okay, I'm going to be doing the sound bath as you journal. So take your time, do not rush. This is your time for yourself. If you don't have any other time in the week, I'm trying to make sure that you have this time on Worthy and Well Wednesdays for yourself. All right? You ready? Okay. So go ahead and start writing. Somebody's clearing their throat chakra. Very good. If you're in a private place while I'm doing this, and I'm saying this because I feel led to, if you're in a private place while I'm doing this and you're able to speak without feeling like you're looking crazy, I personally don't care about talking to myself in public, but some people do. And so if you're in a private place and you're able to speak this out loud or maybe record a voice memo for yourself, those are things also that you can do if you need to. If you're not able to journal, or if it feels better to actually speak it and hear the vibration of the sound of your own voice, that's also healing. Feel free. Please do. How did that feel? I love just allowing the sound to wash over me and cleanse any and everything that needs to be removed, and I feel release, right? So if you're still writing, do not stop. If you're still recording, take your time. This is your time for yourself. Give yourself the time that you need, okay? Thank you guys so much for participating with us this week. I want you all to begin to um, take your spiritual journey seriously, because if you don't do it, nobody's going to, okay? If you feel led to, if you feel blessed by the sound bath and the journal prompts this week, feel free to send a love donation. The links are below for you to do that. Also, again, I want you guys to stress we're actually going to have our first sacred session, which is a live Zoom call at the end of this month, Sunday, July 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You will be able to see me and talk to me, and I'll be able to talk to you. We're going to have an amazing conversation. I want you go ahead. That's going to be for our Starseed members only. Do not get the community memberships confused with the YouTube memberships. It's also pinned below. Evie just said she pinned it below. But also, these don't get confused with the community memberships to the YouTube memberships. I know that there is a YouTube membership thing there, um, and that's just for you to look at content that's sitting on my YouTube channel. This information that I'm talking about is going to be inside of our community. And it's going to be a more sacred space. It's not all open to the public and, for different spam bots or, other people to pop in. It's going to be a little bit more of a closed practice space for us to really be able to get some work together, okay? And so in order to join the conversation on June 27th, you have to be a Starseed member, okay? That's going to give you access to exclusive content that you won't see anywhere else. You'll also get access to exclusive merch, and you're going to have access to our monthly 1 hour Zoom calls. These are normally 20 to 25 minutes. You're going to get 1 hour, and we're going to be able to talk and be in community with each other. I really just want to get to know you all better so that I can see how I can best serve you, and we can see how we can serve the collective together. If that sounds great to you, go ahead and make sure that you join. I love all of you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you don't have time to do that journal prompt, make sure that you join the community so you can get the replay so that you can have a moment to do it and write it out. I would love to hear how it's helped you. I would love to hear what came up for you. So definitely make sure that you comment below in the video, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Remember, you are worthy, you are well, and you are home in yourself. I love you. Talk to you later.